Hey fellas, it's Collin and you're watching Magic Strawberry. The Assassin's Creed franchise has been going on for quite some time now and has accumulated quite a bit of sales and popularity along the way. But with an annual release schedule came declining sales along with fans losing interest and the formula becoming worn out. Particularly after Syndicate, it was clear that the series either had to find a new identity or cease to exist. Ubisoft decided to take a year off and rethink its approach to the series and make way for the movie, but we're just going to refrain from ever speaking of it ever again. Following that break, Ubisoft released Origins, which introduced a new hitbox approach to the combat along with light RPG elements. It sparked a renewed interest in the franchise, and after covering several significant historical periods ranging from the Ptolemaic dynasty in ancient Egypt to Victorian London, Ubisoft decided to delve even deeper into history to take us into the classical period of ancient Greece. This is Assassin's Creed Odyssey. Odyssey takes place near the beginning of the Peloponnesian War, in which Sparta and Athens face off over the dominion of all of Greece. Your character was cast out of Sparta at a young age and raised to be a mercenary. After a series of events occur, you find yourself sailing away from home in search of lost family, all while the battle that will permanently reshape Greece is taking place. In this war, you either fight for Sparta or Athens, but I mostly sided with Sparta since, in reality, they do eventually win this war. And I wanted my experience to be as historically authentic as possible. Odyssey has introduced quite a few firsts for the franchise. For the first time, we can choose between two protagonists, Alexios or Cassandra. And since the dude seemed like a piece of bland toast, I went with Cassandra. But the most notable thing about Odyssey is that it went full RPG. There's branching dialogue options, gear customizing, choosable romances, ability upgrades, and not to mention harrowing choices in the story that can affect the narrative. Though not all of these features are particularly well done. For example, the romances is a half-baked concept at best, in which choosing the dialogue options with the heart next to them is the only thing you need to do to woo them over. And the branching dialogue usually ranges from virtuous good to spiteful renegade with a little in between. And so throughout the game, I decided my character should be merciful, sentimental, naive, but ruthless when necessary. Nonetheless, the heavy RPG elements feel refreshing because if the franchise is going to exist for 10 plus years, it might as well do something different. Odyssey also introduces a notoriety system in which various other mercenaries hunt you down when you steal things, kill Spartans and Athenians, along with other crimes. Most aren't very tough in a one-on-one fight, but they do become difficult when you rack up notoriety, and they gang up on you, especially if you're already fighting with other guards. It also includes a quasi-nemesis system reminiscent of the Shadow of Mordor series. The combat itself resembles Origins, especially with the hitbox style making a return again for this installment. You can fight with a variety of weapons such as swords, axes, maces, spears, bow and arrows, daggers, and others. Though I stuck with the spear in most of the game since it is a Spartan weapon of choice. You can also trigger conquest battles between the Spartans and Athenians as soon as you diminish a fortification of a Spartan or Athenian territory. The scales of these battles are simply a delight and are always fun despite the lack of reward. You also receive an influx of armor throughout the game, and just like in Origins, you can upgrade older armor, particularly when you receive stronger gear that isn't aesthetically pleasing, and you'd much rather wear what you already have. The skill tree is separated into three classes: Warrior, Hunter, and Assassin. I found myself mostly sticking to the Warrior class since my method of choice was waltzing through the front door of every fort I see and squaring off with everyone who dare get in my way. Though I did dabble in other skills to supplement my other abilities. My favorite skill by far was the Spartan kick, because kicking people Leonidas style off a mountain never failed to satisfy. Naval combat also returns in a capacity not seen since what I consider my favorite in the franchise, Assassin's Creed 4. It still feels thrilling as ever to dominate the high seas, and even though upgrading the ship is still a bit of a grind, it's still worth it just to easily tear apart any ship you see in the Aegean Sea. The shanties make a return too, and it'll make you smile as widely as it did when you first heard it in Assassin's Creed 4. Odyssey also mostly ignores the present-day storyline prevalent in the franchise thus far, which is a good or bad thing depending on who you are. Personally, I have never cared about anything to do with the present-day plot. The war between Assassins and Templars, the Animus, the Desmond Miles character, the Pieces of Eden, I find it all to be depressingly dull. So it was a relief that Ubisoft kept the present-day aspects to an absolute minimum, and allowed us to roam endlessly in our simulated Mediterranean paradise. With all that said, Odyssey is definitely not lore-friendly, what with the choosable protagonist and the creed itself not even close to its original conception set up in Origins. But to be quite frank, I don't care, and it's honestly better off for it. By far my favorite part of Assassin's Creed Odyssey was the Greek setting. The world, simply put, is massive. So massive that it feels overwhelming at times, especially when the number of quests you have available suddenly double once you progress further in the story. But this faithful recreation of classical Greece is jaw-dropping. The vibrant colors, lush vegetation, iconic Greek architecture, and the Aegean Sea are sights to behold. I often found myself marveling at the beauty of this world rather than actually playing the game. Assassin's Creed Odyssey is arguably the best in the series, with the sheer magnitude and beauty of its open world, free-flowing combat, and enjoyable RPG elements. Odyssey is a must-own, and although the game is occasionally plagued by glitches, textures that render at the last second, and some new mechanics that aren't woven into the main narrative as much as I would have liked, Assassin's Creed Odyssey is still one of the best standouts of 2018, and I give it an 8.5 out of 10.
The Spartans will have my head for this. I need to get out of here.
Thanks for watching Magic Strawberry. Be sure to follow us on Twitter as ETV Goofing Off, like this video, and subscribe to our channel. Please and thank you. Bye.